Greetings and welcome, my most loyal patriots, to another episode of the semi-grand campaign. Welcome to Hearts of Iron 4. Alright, the Paradox game that I have probably the least amount of time in, so I can't guarantee that this will be too good of a playthrough, because I am clutching at the controls desperately. Because I have played the other Hearts of Irons in the series, and by played I mean I've just essentially just booted up as Germany and see if I could defeat the Soviet Union. And I have. And that's pretty much all I can say about that. Now, I did actually think about maybe doing this in Hearts of Iron 3, but no. So let's just get the game booted up into the country we'll be playing, the Netherlands. Alright, so a brief history. The Dutch government eyes the mounting global tensions with concern. Between an ailing economy, a powerful pacifist movement, and a firm belief in neutrality to the point of deriving potential allies away, they are unable to properly prepare their defenses. At the same time, the importance of the Netherlands as a gateway of trade into the continent means that both the British and Germans desire Dutch cooperation to thwart the other, and may take rejection as a reason for hostility. Perhaps withdrawal to the colonies is the only possible means to resist such an invasion. Yeah. Alright, so we'll be doing the historical AI on regular difficulty because difficult enough for me as it is. And no Iron Man mode because I'm not that suicidal yet. And let's just get booted in. Right. So, let us take this first episode to broadly lay out the strategy I probably will do. Also, by the way, this is I haven't bought Battle for the Bosphorus, which is the latest DLC. So, you know, some things may be missing. We've got spies. I think that's probably enough. Now, up until now, the Netherlands I've been playing are, well, restricted in power because of the reset every game. Been pretty expansionist. Like a dream of power every time. Creating an empire in Crusader Kings, a global empire in Europa Universalis, and basically dominating Europe in Victoria 2. None of that really came to pass, though. I mean, we never repudiated the Treaty of London, which meant we had to pretty much give up on Brussels, or on Belgium. We don't have any claims or any cause anymore. And so the Netherlands is pretty much a nation left to, I would say, rot, but that's not entirely fair. We essentially just were stunned by world events, I suppose. We did not participate in World War I, and I think we were quite happy not to be involved in that, even though the reason why we were not involved is kind of weak, in my opinion. Because we declared neutrality. Now, for the Swiss, I can sort of understand that, but for us, yeah, sure. Germans would have steamrolled us then as well, I think, probably. But we didn't learn any lessons from that. We're basically just happy that it didn't happen to us, and we didn't need to look back any further. Rather than preparing for a potential Second World War that couple of people really did see coming after the Treaty of Versailles. Now, that's not to say that the Netherlands is in a totally hopeless situation. We still have our holdings in the West Indies. We don't currently have well, the island of Saint Martin isn't represented here, but that's fine. That's a weird situation as it is anyway. We have no African holdings, but we still have our colonies in the Dutch East Indies. Now, this little bit of history is a bit murky for me because while, of course, I did get a lot of information about the Second World War during history classes, some of the details were glossed over. In particular, how we basically ignored our colonies, or neglected is probably a better word. They weren't really built up, and we focused mostly on at home. And then, of course, after the First World War, there was the Great Depression, and our economy shrank. And what do governments do when the economy shrinks? You cut back on every spending, including the military. So basically, we have nothing. Also, keep in mind, Dutch government isn't exactly all that old in that sense, because we didn't really have a constitutional monarchy until the reforms were put through during the reign of, during the start of the reign of Willem III. That's not actually all that long ago. Currently, the leader of our nation is Wilhelmina. Now, she's kind of popular because she isn't Willem III. That's essentially what it boils down to, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a monarchist, though. Frankly, if we didn't have a monarchy tomorrow, I wouldn't shed a tear. But she was a symbol of our nation at the time. Can't discount that. For the 100 years that we've had a monarchy, I guess they meant something to some people. But yeah, we desperately wanted to stay out of any wars. We couldn't go on any wars of expansion anymore because that's pretty much prohibited by the League of Nations as it exists still, and by alliance networks that currently exist. We are a shell-shocked spectator of the Great War, and we have some crisis years, apparently, as well as a weak government. Now, there's a couple of parties that is currently power, basically the Democratic Anti-Revolutionary Party. This is a very simplified version of how politics looked in those days, but you know, I guess that's just gonna have to be it. We have the Communist Party, the National Socialist Movement. Yeah, I know it says NSB, but I'm just translating. And the Nederlandse Volksbeweging, the Dutch People's Movement. The non-aligned, yeah. I'm not entirely sure I'm all that happy with how politics is laid out here, because there's more nuance than that. Even though Dutch politics have been very liberal, obviously some mistakes were being made, as evidenced in the current VVD party. And that's as far as I'm going to go with politics, because modern politics should not be considered with a game about this particular period, because, well, things are about to get really upheavalist. So what is my goal, actually, before I go off on another tangent? It's actually a little bit contentious. I'm not all that happy about what I am seeking to pursue. Because, as we go to the focus tree, all the interesting decisions over here. Now, going for the taking back the United Netherlands is basically get annex war goals on Belgium and Luxembourg. You need to go fascist. Now, I don't particularly like fascists. But yeah, I can kind of see that. Communism, I'm not entirely sure why you would ever bother with communism in this game. Aside from maybe achieving some achievement. Because essentially, you're replacing the monarchy and you don't really get to do anything because you give up all your colonies. So you're left with just the Netherlands. And you can gain puppet focuses on the United Kingdom, France, and the United States, which, you know, sure. I can sort of understand that. And a puppet focus on Belgium and Luxembourg. Why not annexation, though? Now, I get that these war focuses are basically just a necessary thing for so you can declare war. Because there's no such thing as a no CB war. And most people just go with the annexation of the states anyway. As we are going for fun, I'm gonna start doing a little bit of role playing. So we'll be going down the fascist route because I want to go one last chance at glory. This is the modern age. So that's the only way we're gonna be able to expand, recapture the old glory. Which is essentially what fascists want to do. They perceive our country to have fallen to a weaker state, and we need to grow strong again. And yeah, none of the other parties really want to do that. Now there is also the non-aligned option, of course. And you have the democratic option over here, but it really doesn't do anything because it kind of assumes that you get, you know, defeated by Germany, which, yeah, probably. And you may be able to form the European Union through this, but and then there is also the non-aligned option, which is kind of fun. It's sort of what happened because as the Dutch got conquered, the royal family fled to Great Britain, and essentially Wilhelmina took on the role of government or of representation of the Dutch in the alliance, and which is why she's remembered as a symbol for our people. Not entirely sure how much she was actually in control of the government because, again, details were glossed over. And there was also some slight issues with the whole thing. Because, you know, there was some royal entanglement with that. Because you're thinking that, ooh, having a royal family is fun. Yeah, the scandals are particularly fun. Go and look those up. But yeah, I'm actually still really miffed about having to go fascist for any real fun in this game. As the Dutch. Other nations may have better options. I mean, I get it from a communist perspective that you don't want to go and get the colonies anymore. Still. Alright. Let's get the basics set up. We need to form a new government because the weak government we have is just not gonna do it for us. Because currently he's giving us a, let's see, the weak government gives us a political power cost and a minus stability. We have no war support, we have no manpower. Stability is fine because we are not currently at war. Get the basics searched. Well, we need to build up as quickly as we can, so we need to produce stuff. Let's get the basics out of the way.
Gereed, commandant.
We have some unassigned divisions.
Gereed, commandant.
I guess we'll just put on the Belgian border. You never know with those Belgians. But yeah, we are hopelessly short on supplies and people. We only have infantry equipment because we have nothing. We have a massive penalty to construction, which is not fun. And let's get that out of the way. Right, we also will want to build up our actually that's we can sort that out later. Let's just get as much infrastructure over here so we can get all the aluminium we need. And we also have the steelworks in Holland that we want to boost as much as possible. Nothing else we can really do. 3 military factories, well, there's nothing else we can do. We'll set up a line for some artillery, because we will want some. And that's pretty much all we have. For 3 dockyards. Build convoys for now. And we need to do some trade. Well, France is currently not too busy. They can give us 8 steel until we get that going. I do like that we start with Marines, but they are not particularly strong. And our infantry division is very basic. And we have no manpower, so there's not really much point in getting anything built. So let's just get our troops into position.
Ja, commandant.
And let's start training. Now, who knows what Germany is doing? We have nothing really. Such a shortage of infantry equipment. We may as well speed up to 5. And I suppose I can get my ships to be doing something. But we have different theaters. Let's get a new theater for... Gotta be someone who has got some... You can be in charge of our undersea boats. Do some naval exercises. Right, and that'll do for this episode. Thank you all for watching. See you all next time.